Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Idea Brush channel where I unpack art, ethics, and the occasional internet mess with all the grace of a caffeinated raccoon. And if you saw my first video, welcome back, you brave soul. So I was poking around online debating whether to resurrect my DeviantArt account. Spoiler, I didn't. And I stumbled across a video that really got under my skin, in a good way and a frustrating way. This video is about AI, ADHD, and creativity, and more importantly, it's about how we talk to and about each other online. Because after watching this video and doing some digging, I realized something. People might be bullying the wrong person for the wrong reason. If you saw my last video, you might expect me to side with the TikTok guy and dunk on Milo, but honestly, I think both of them missed the point. So today I want to break down what they got wrong, what they almost got right, and what I think should have been said instead. This isn't just about AI, it's about how we treat neurodivergent creators, how we define artistic value, and why tone matters when we're trying to make a point. Let's get into it. Let's start with Marcus, the TikTok creator who shared that AI helps him create despite having ADHD. And yes, before anyone jumps in with Paper Moon, didn't you say the same thing in your last video? Correct, I did. But here's the difference. Marcus makes some shaky arguments, and while weak points don't justify harassment, they do deserve critique. His first misstep? Coming in hot with a tone that felt more like a personal attack than a conversation. That kind of energy rarely invites understanding, it just raises defenses. Now, I've said it before, I don't use AI to draw, but I also don't shame anyone who does. What does bother me is when people get angry over the idea that AI generated art isn't real art. I'm not diving into that debate today, but here's a thought experiment. If you commission a human artist to draw something for you, would you then claim you drew it and call yourself an artist? If your answer is yes, that's literally art theft and it's not okay. Using AI to generate art is basically commissioning a piece from a machine. You're giving it prompts, sure, but you're not the one creating the strokes. You're the director, not the artist. I know that's a tough pill to swallow, but it's one we need to be honest about. Also, I realized too late Milo makes this same argument, but I'm going to repeat it anyway. Maybe it will increase the chance the pro AI bros will hear this and understand it. Next, Marcus says some people just aren't born with talent. And honestly, I disagree strongly. Everyone has unique strengths regardless of disability or neurodivergence. If art doesn't feel like your thing, that's fine. Go find what is your thing. But let's be clear. Art isn't just a magical gift bestowed at birth, it's skill. It's built through practice, frustration, and a whole lot of trial and error. I know this from experience. I've stared at someone's gorgeous artwork, tried to mimic their style, and ended up with something that looked like it was drawn by a sleep-deprived potato. It's easy to feel like it's easy to feel like you just can't draw. I've been there. Eventually, I had to accept that my cartoony style is still valid. Just look at the animation world. Rick and Morty, Peppa Pig, and the Stickman fight videos. Simple styles, massive impact. Marcus also mentions getting bad grades in art class, and honestly, that sounds like a failure on the system, not him. If your teacher makes you feel like your art isn't good enough just because it doesn't fit a narrow aesthetic, that's not education, that's discouragement. As Milo said, and I agree, art is what you're proud of. There's no single correct way to express creativity. Personally, I think the only things that should be graded in art class are the written components, color theory, terminology, and maybe technique studies. But grading someone's expression, that's where it gets harmful. I've been there. My art teacher constantly tried to reshape my style, and it made me question my own voice. Looking back, I wish I had taken woodworking instead. Art class should be a space to explore, not conform. And if Marcus walked away feeling like he wasn't good enough, that's not on him. That's on the system that failed to nurture his voice. And finally, Marcus talks about using AI to help him write, but he never explains how. Once again, it feels more like a vent than a reflection. What he could have done is walk us through his process, what tools he uses, how they support his writing, and why it works for him. That kind of transparency could have built empathy instead of confusion. And to the folks in the comments saying he probably used AI to write the script, well, yeah, he said uses AI to write, so what exactly were you trying to prove with that comment? Now let's talk about the video made by Milo Talks Too Much. There's just one part that really didn't sit right with me. when they said this is the one time they condone bullying. That's not okay. Marcus might have made weak arguments or delivered them poorly, but that doesn't justify harassment. Critique is fair, bullying is not. Personally, the only people I think deserve to be called out harshly are actual bullies, the ones who go out of their way to tear others down or make them feel small. I watched a few of Marcus's other videos, which I'll be honest were tough to follow. I couldn't always tell what he was trying to say, and I wasn't sure if he was misinformed or just struggling to communicate clearly. But here's the thing, I didn't see him trying to hurt anyone. From what I gathered, he seems confused, not cruel. And when someone's misinformed, the right response isn't mockery, it's education. Yes, he came off angry, but responding with more anger doesn't help. We need to be better than that. We need to be the calm voice that helps people understand, not the loud ones that shut them down. That said, aside from that one misstep, I do understand where you're coming from. I'm not diving into the deeper ethical issues around AI today, like generating explicit images of real people without their consent. That's a serious topic, and trust me, I've got a whole rant saved for another video. But for now, I want to stay focused. What I do want to offer is a new perspective, something I hope Milo and others might consider. In the comments of their video, someone mentioned how people were originally against CGI when it first came out. They feared it would replace jobs and ruin traditional filmmaking. But over time, CGI became a tool, one that artists learned to use creatively, not fear. From Milo's response, it seems they're not against using tools to assist creativity. Their concerns is with AI being used to replace writers. And I get that. But here's the thing, there are ways to use AI that support writers without erasing them. For example, I use ChatGPT to help me build outlines. I still write the story myself, but having a structured roadmap makes a huge difference, especially with ADHD. My brain doesn't always organize ideas in a linear way, so I tell the AI what I'm working on, and it helps me shape a framework. From there, I fill in the details, sculpt the narrative, and make it my own. It's not outsourcing creativity, it's scaffolding it. I also use AI to help me revise my drafts. I'll write a messy first version, then ask Chat to suggest edits or rephrasing. But I don't just accept everything. It's more like brainstorming with a very patient editor. Because of my disabilities, it can be hard to express things the way I intended, and this kind of support helps bridge that gap. That's also why I don't use AI tools that write entire stories for me. I've tried a few and I abandoned every single one that took over the process. Not because I think I'm better than people who do, but because I already have a clear vision. When an AI writes the whole thing from a prompt, it often adds plot points or themes I didn't plan or want. Sometimes I'll give ChatGPT a prompt not to have it write the whole thing, but to help me flesh out the idea. It's like brainstorming with a creative partner who never gets tired or distracted. And honestly, there have been moments when co-writing with Copilot has sparked something deep. I'll be reading through what we've built together and suddenly think, yes, now I know exactly what I want to do. It's those flashes of clarity that make AI such a powerful tool when used intentionally. It doesn't replace my creativity, it helps unlock it. There's a common fear that AI art somehow invalidates human artists, but that fear misplaces the blame. AI doesn't invalidate anything on its own. What does, the way people talk about and value art in a culture obsessed with speed, novelty, and profit. When someone says AI art is better than human art, they're not just making a flawed comparison, they're erasing the human experience behind the work. That's not just fair, it's intellectually lazy. It's like saying a vending machine makes better meals just because it's faster. Let's be clear, AI doesn't dream, it doesn't struggle, it doesn't grow up sketching in the margins of math homework or pouring grief into brushstrokes. Human art is lived experience made visible. AI art is pattern recognition made presentable. And this isn't the first time a new tool has sparked panic. Think about the sewing machine. When they were introduced, people feared they'd destroy the value of handcraft, but they didn't. They expanded access, sped up production, and gave hand sewing a new place in the creative ecosystem. The same can happen with AI if we treat it as a tool, not a replacement. The real danger isn't AI, it's the cultural impulse to chase efficiency over meaning. If we let algorithms define taste, we risk flattening the diversity of human expression. But if we use AI to support, inspire, or even challenge artists, it can become part of a richer creative dialogue. So, no, AI doesn't invalidate human artists. People do, when they forget that art is more than output, it's process, intention, and connection. Now let's talk about the fear of AI taking people's jobs. In Marcus's videos, both the one about AI art and another I came across, he gives off this weirdly nonchalant vibe like, so what if AI replaces our jobs? We should just accept it and move on. That's not exactly what he said, but it's the tone. And honestly, that's a dangerous way of thinking. I don't want to live in a Wall-E world where machines do everything while humans float around sipping smoothies in hover chairs. I like doing things. Sure, there are some tasks I'd gladly hand off to a machine, but I don't want to lose the joy, the challenge, or the purpose that comes with creating, building, and contributing. Now, let's say AI and machines do replace all jobs. Then what? What happens to our sense of identity, our economy, our communities? These are questions I hope corporations are seriously thinking about because replacing humans without a plan for what comes next isn't just reckless, it's dystopian. I can only hope that one day we'll look back and laugh at all this. We'll say, remember when we thought AI would replace us? Just like we did with the printing press, the camera, and the sewing machine. They didn't ruin society, they changed it, and we adapted. But adaptation requires intention, it requires ethics, and it requires remembering that human value isn't something you can automate. For Marcus, I want to start by saying I'm genuinely sorry you've been bullied for sharing your opinion. That's not how meaningful dialogue works. Disagreement doesn't have to come with cruelty, and I hope this video can be part of a more respectful conversation. I'm offering this critique not to dismiss you, but to support you. Whatever AI tools you're using, it doesn't seem to be helping you express your ideas clearly, or maybe it's just not being guided in a way that brings out your voice. I don't know the full story, but I do know this. AI can be a powerful writing assistant, not a substitute for your perspective. I understand what you were saying about ADHD making communication difficult. I live with that challenge too, and I get how tempting it is to let a tool speak for you when words feel tangled or out of reach. But you don't have to give up authorship to get support. You can use AI to shape your thoughts, organize your ideas, and refine your message, while still keeping your voice at the center. Your voice matters, and with the right tools and encouragement, it can come through stronger than ever. Now, for Milo, I really appreciate that you acknowledged how symptoms can vary from person to person. That kind of nuance is rare and it means a lot. So, I want to share something personal. Sometimes my words get stuck in my throat, and it's not just frustrating, it's isolating. People often don't believe me when I say I struggle to communicate. They don't realize how deeply impaired expression can be, especially when it's invisible. You mentioned you have ADHD, and I do too, but I also live with autism. That might be why this kind of blockage hits harder for me. It's difficult to describe, but sometimes it genuinely feels like something is physically stopping my words, whether I'm trying to speak or write. Like my thoughts are trapped behind a wall I can't break through. AI has been the only thing that seems to reach through that wall. It helps me shape my thoughts when I can't do it alone. That's why I understand what Marcus was trying to express. He didn't communicate it well, but the heart of his message, I felt that. Milo, I hope none of this comes across as criticism of your video. From what I've seen, you seem thoughtful, open-minded, and willing to engage with different perspectives, and I deeply respect that. I just want to share my own experience and offer a different lens on the conversation. Again, this isn't an attack, it's an invitation to consider how communication challenges can shape the way someone expresses themselves and how tools like AI can sometimes be that bridge between silence and clarity. There's something else I wanted to say, something I don't think many people have noticed. From Marx's tone and speech pattern, I get the sense that he might be dealing with serious mental health challenges. Maybe he doesn't have the right support or guidance. That's part of why I felt compelled to speak up. Because bullying someone for expressing themselves differently, especially when you don't know what they're going through, is not okay. Some people in the comments were mocking Marcus, saying he sounds like an AI. Honestly, I've sounded like that too, especially when I'm not using AI to help organize my thoughts. It's not exactly the same, but I know what it's like to struggle to make sense verbally, to feel like your words are coming out robotic or disjointed, even when your thoughts are rich and complex. I also had an autistic classmate with a similar speech pattern, and it reminded me that communication differences aren't always obvious. So I wonder if Marcus might be dealing with more than just ADHD, maybe some traits of autism too. That's not a diagnosis, of course, just an observation based on lived experience. Either way, I think he's genuinely struggling to communicate and probably not using AI in the most helpful way. But that doesn't mean he deserves ridicule, it means he deserves understanding. We need to stop assuming that clarity equals intelligence or that awkward delivery means someone's ideas aren't worth sharing. Because when we do that, we're not just missing the point, we're missing the person. Before I go any further, I want to make one thing clear because I know how this can sound. I'm not trying to play both sides here. I'm not pro AI or anti AI, and I just think both sides have become so focused on attacking each other that they've stopped listening. On one end, you've got anti AI folks who direct their anger at individual creators, people like Marcus, when really that frustration should be aimed at corporations building AI with models without regulation, and at the systems that actively devalue human art. On the other end, you've got pro AI folks who dismiss everyone's concern as fear mongering. Some even go as far as claiming AI art is better than human art, which, let's be honest, it's not just wrong, it's wildly reductive. I wish more people would step back and recognize the full picture. AI has pros and cons. It can support creativity, but it can also be misused. It's not inherently good or bad. It's a tool, and like any tool, its impact depends on how we use it. That's why I speak out, not to defend AI blindly and not to condemn it outright, but to warn against excessive, unethical use, to advocate for thoughtful, intentional integration, and to remind everyone that human creativity is not something you can automate or replace. With all that in mind, this isn't just a debate about AI or art, it's about how we treat each other when we disagree. It's about recognizing that behind every comment, every video, every awkward sentence, there's a person, and sometimes that person is struggling in ways we can't see. I'm not here to pick sides, I'm here to ask for nuance, to say yes, AI can be helpful, yes, it can be misused, and yes, we need to hold corporations accountable for how these tools are built and deployed. But we also need to stop tearing each other down over imperfect communication or differing views. Whether you're neurodivergent, an artist, a tech skeptic, or just someone trying to make sense of this weird digital world, we all deserve space to speak, to learn, and to grow. So let's stop shouting past each other. Let's start listening. Let's start asking better questions. And let's remember that creativity, real human creativity, isn't just about what we make, it's about how we connect. Thanks for watching. And if you made it this far, I appreciate you more than you know. Don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe if you want more rants, reflections, or to see more of my art process. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep creating.